New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
New Thought Media Network is excited to present Divine Science Everywhere, Fridays at 2 p.m. Mountain Time and 4 p.m. Eastern. Come explore a modern experience of divine science. With Rev Joy Fletcher, Rev Jeff Radcliff, and Bishop Durrell Watkins. Join us as we open our eyes to divine science everywhere we look. Fridays on New Thought Media Network.
New Thought Media Network is proud to present New Thought's Roots and Branches with Reverend Dr. Ruth Miller. Join us every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Mountain Time. Tune in live or watch anytime on our YouTube channel. Discover the rich history of New Thought and its impact on modern spirituality. Join Reverend Dr. Ruth Miller as she shares insights, stories, and teachings that inspire and uplift. Experience deep insights and transformative teachings that connect you to the roots of New Thought. Visit our YouTube channel to catch up on past episodes and join us live every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Connect with us and be part of the journey.
New Thought Media Network is excited to present Divine Science Everywhere, Fridays at 2 p.m. Mountain Time and 4 p.m. Eastern. Come explore a modern experience of divine science. With Rev Joy Fletcher, Rev Jeff Radcliff, and Bishop Durrell Watkins. Join us as we open our eyes to divine science everywhere we look. Fridays on New Thought Media Network.
Welcome to Divine Science Everywhere, here on the New Thought Media Network. Everything is in divine order. Divine Science Everywhere features divine science ministers and New Thought guests discussing the principles and practice of the divine. I'm Rev Joy Fletcher, and currently I am the president of the Divine Science Ministers Association and member of the International New Thought Alliance Executive Board, Divine Science Minister, and Unity Teacher. And we welcome you, and we so appreciate that you're joining us today.
It's good to know that everybody's out there. It's nice to see the good Bishop back with us this week. After we missed you last week, we made a little bit of fun of you, but not much. But glad to have you back.
And I am Durrell Watkins, an auxiliary bishop of the Global Justice Institute and the current president of the Divine Science Federation. I'm a parish minister of the Sunshine Cathedral in Fort Lauderdale. I'm a life member of the International New Thought Alliance. And I am a puppy parent and a husband and a lifelong learner. So like the others, I have a lot going on, but I'm so glad to be here. I did miss you guys last week. I'm so glad to be back.
You all have such great credentials, and me, I'm only ordained in two organizations, Divine Science and International Metaphysical Ministry. Lifetime members of, you name it. If it's New Thought related, I'm on it there, as well as on the board of Divine Science Ministers Association and Divine Science Federation International. And then they give me down the road when I'm not in the studio at the exact moment they think I should be there. And I'm like so busy with all I'm doing. But I got in on time.
You did. You have you host another show, and you have an interactive Facebook ministry.
Yeah.
Those, remember?
Yeah. So later on this evening, after we're finished here, later on this evening at 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern, I'll be with Michael Mangus. Reverend Michael Mangus and I do Friday Fireside Chat. So yeah, you'll see me there again.
Wonderful, wonderful. And it's just so great to be here.
Yeah. It's Mother's Day weekend coming up.
It is.
Awesome.
It is.
You know what would be a
We'll
great...
talk about that today. That just might be our theme.
That'd be a good topic for today.
Yeah, seriously. Well, you know what would be good also would be to give Mom a delayed Mother's Day present.
Yes.
And we have a cruise coming up.
Ooh.
Perfect for that.
Ooh.
Yeah, well, we have a whole big spiel for that coming up. And that would be, and it's something you actually can give, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
always
So
thinking.
it can be spiritual for a minute.
Yeah.
Well, that everything's spiritual. Everything.
That's true. That's
Divine
true.
science is everywhere.
It's everywhere.
That's right. So let's take a moment and center ourselves just for a few moments. And take a sacred breath into the divine feminine essence. As we enter this holy space of the feminine, the nurturing, the powerful, wise aspect of ourselves, we feel this mothering spirit as infinite love. And it endlessly gives us opportunities to give birth to new possibilities within us and in our life experience. This nurturing presence whispers in us, in every heartbeat, and shelters every sorrow or challenge. We remember that divine love is the womb of all creation. It holds us, shapes us, and calls us into wholeness. And beneath all doing, there is that great mothering silence that sings of our belonging. She is a lullaby in our soul, the pulse of compassion, the deep wisdom of the earth. We honor the mothers of our bodies, the mothers of our hearts, and the mothers of our souls, those who taught us to pray, to rise, to speak truth, and to love without condition. Today, may we allow ourselves to be held, to be replenished by the ever-present love that nurtures all things into being. We rest in the arms of the infinite mother. We are nourished by this presence. Blessed be this nurturing spirit in all, through all, as all, and so it is.
So it is. Thank you so much. I bet we're going to talk more about the Divine Big Mama here pretty soon. But first, as Reverend Jeff said, there's something you can do for your earthly mama. And mamas don't have to be genetic mamas. They don't even have to be women mamas. There's somebody in your life who's been a nurturer, a teacher, someone who's cared for you and looked out for you. And this would be a good way to thank them. Or maybe you had to do it on your own. Well, give yourself a gift. This is, you deserve it for sure. And that is, we have a cruise coming up. Let me tell you about this exciting opportunity for New Thought practitioners, for New Thought students, for New Thought ministers, for people who are just beginning to learn about New Thought, for people who heard today for the first time about New Thought, really anybody. It's New Thought people doing it, but it's for everybody. We are charting a new course, the Divine Science Federation International and the Divine Science Ministers Association invite you to join us from November 2nd to November 6th. Save those dates. Write that down. November 2nd to November 6th, 2025, as we gather aboard the Ultra Deluxe MSC Seashore for 5 days and 4 nights for our first of its kind retreat. We're sailing from Port Canaveral, Florida, with ports of call in Nassau and Paradise Island in the Bahamas, and also the MSC's private multi-million-dollar island, Ocean Cay. Guests will get the chance to renew old friendships, make new friendships, and deepen our understanding of New Thought through meditating and meeting and just relaxing. We will find divine science everywhere, the divine everywhere, on the beach, in the casino, in the bar, at the breakfast buffet. We will find divine science everywhere. That's what we do. We will truly be charting a new course, and all of this for a starting price of only $299. You can glam that up, but if you want to do it on a budget, for just $299, and then additions are available. So that you can make the experience for whatever it is you really want and need. But you can get on the boat, eat the food, get on the beach, meet the people for less than $300. So we'll truly be charting a new course. All of this for a starting price of only $299. I also know there are payment options. You can put a little bit down. Usually it's as low as $1, and then you can pay monthly. So you can manifest a monthly payment, right? So for just $299. You will have a perfect retreat. For more information or to reserve your spot, visit divinesciencefederation.org and click on events. Are y'all excited? I'm getting more excited all the time. Robert and I were talking about earlier today, and even he's excited about it. He's so work focused, it's hard, but it's like, yeah, just 5 days, because it's just enough time. Sometimes they're too quick, or sometimes they're too long. This is the perfect amount of time. It's a good spot, especially in November when it can be cold in a lot of places, and just always, whenever New Thought people together, we have a great time. So we're super looking forward to it.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, perfect gift for the mother in your life, and perhaps that is even you, like Durrell said. But it's not limited to mothers, because hey, bring dad along as well, if you like. The more the merrier, because this is going to be a blast.
For sure. Next month, we can push the Father's Day gifts.
There you go.
Yeah, and the next month we can push Independence Day. There's always an opportunity to celebrate.
And Grandparents' Day is in September, so
you get
it. And honoring the divine maternal nature within me, I'm looking forward to Divine Science Everywhere. Collaboration between the Divine Science Federation International and Divine Science Ministers Association. This is we're sponsoring this, so I'm just so looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to a lot of laughter, a lot of laughter, and
we do play a lot.
Yes, and being replenished by the water and just the beautiful energy of the Caribbean.
If you've not seen the Caribbean, it really is. It's almost like they pour blue dye in the water. I mean, it is just so beautiful.
Yes.
We're going to enjoy it.
Yes, yes.
Well, let's take a break, do a little business, and then come back and talk about this mother business.
Yeah, so we'll see you all in just a minute. We are Divine Science Everywhere on New Thought Media Network.
New Thought Media Network is proud to present New Thought's Roots and Branches with Reverend Dr. Ruth Miller. Join us every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Mountain Time. Tune in live or watch anytime on our YouTube channel. Discover the rich history of New Thought and its impact on modern spirituality. Join Reverend Dr. Ruth Miller as she shares insights, stories, and teachings that inspire and uplift. Experience deep insights and transformative teachings that connect you to the roots of New Thought. Visit our YouTube channel to catch up on past episodes and join us live every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Connect with us and be part of the journey.
New Thought Media Network is excited to present Divine Science Everywhere, Fridays at 2 p.m. Mountain Time and 4 p.m. Eastern. Come explore a modern experience of divine science. With Rev Joy Fletcher, Rev Jeff Radcliff, and Bishop Durrell Watkins. Join us as we open our eyes to divine science everywhere we look. Fridays on New Thought Media Network.
Welcome back. So Melinda Kramer is the source of this idea. The Canaanite woman was so determined to have her daughter healed that she refused to recognize any obstacle to that result. Tradition said in that time frame that Jesus shouldn't care about the Canaanites, but the Canaanite woman whose daughter needed healing would not be limited by tradition. She insisted that healing was possible and that in no way would her daughter be denied. And her daughter was healed. Now, I have been told by my grandmother Fletcher a story about her grandmother, who was a Unity minister. My grandmother's brother was very ill, and the doctor said he didn't think that he was going to live. So my 2 times great grandmother showed up in her fierce, powerful, nurturing spirit, and backed by Unity principle and teachings, which is divine science everywhere. And she made herself a little area in his room, and she would not allow anyone else in his room but her. She tended to him, cared for him, practiced spiritual treatment, because she was taught and believed that they didn't want any negative influence or fears to enter this young boy's consciousness. Well, he survived. He lived, and he lived to have grandchildren and great-grandchildren. So this divine feminine can be very fierce and protective and rise up to do what Spirit calls us to do. Doesn't see obstacles, only wants results. So what do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, Jeff, you have a story?
I do have a story, actually. I've got lots of stories.
Sure.
Our movement was based on women for the most part. Our founders were women. Most of our early teachers were women. But one of the best teachers for me when it comes to a mothering, nurturing aspect comes from the Old Testament. It's a story of a woman who wanted a son really, really bad. And the prophet Elisha came along, and he passed by this lady's house. She and her husband lived there by themselves. And so they built a room onto their house. And whenever Elisha and his servant passed by, they would stay with them. And all this lady wanted was a child. She wanted a child. And Elisha told her, pray, trust in God, you'll have your wish. And she gave birth to a son. And several years later, the son is out in the field with his father, and he gets overcome by the sun, heat stroke probably. So they carry him back to the house, and she is there, and she sees him, and everybody's freaking out. Their servants are freaking out. Dad's kind of messed up a little bit, and she looks down the road and she sees Elisha coming, and she says, "Don't worry about it. It's okay. All is well." And so she takes off running down the road, and she's passing by the neighbors, and they're saying, "What's wrong? Why are you running?" She said, "All is well. All is well." She got to Elisha and she said, "I need you to come and pray for him because he's not well. He's dead." So Elisha went into the house, and there's the lady's son lying there dead, and Elisha prayed and brought the child back to life. The reason that hits me so in the feels, as they say, is because here was a woman who knew no matter what it looked like, it was all well. So many times you see it in public media, on TV, in the movies, whatnot, mothers who are worried about their children. And yeah, you have a right to be concerned until they get to be of a certain age. But just think of how much more present life is when you can say, "My child is safe. God's got this. I don't have to worry about it. All is well." I love that woman in the Bible, the woman from Shunem. So you can find that story in the book of 2 Kings. I don't remember the chapter, but it'll give you a good reason to read some Old Testament.
Yeah. Well, it's the larger part of the Bible. I mean, it's depending on your tradition, it's at least 39 books. It might be 46 or even more. 46 if you're Roman Catholic, even more if you are Eastern Orthodox, more still if you're Ethiopian Orthodox. So when people say the Bible says, well, I would think, which one? Because we don't just have the one. But yeah, I was also thinking of a story from the Hebrew Bible, the Judaic Bible, the Old Testament, the Tanakh, or in this case, actually the Torah, that there is this passage in Deuteronomy that sort of explains what God's presence in the wilderness is like. Like, you feel like it's all wrong. It looks like it's all wrong, but divine science is everywhere. The divine presence is everywhere. The divine reality is everywhere. And divine just means that which is ultimately true, that which is ultimately real. So what is really real? That's what's divine. And science is how you know things. So divine wisdom, divine knowledge, divine intelligence, divine presence, divine. The Greeks, one school of philosophy called it the logos, and the writer of the fourth gospel borrowed that. So we're in the wilderness, but that doesn't mean, but that's an experience. That's not the ultimate truth. That's not the end of the story. That's how the story is playing out right now, but that's not what the story is about. And it's certainly not how the story is going to end. So we're in the wilderness, but so is God. Moses experiences God in a burning thorn bush. What could be more uncomfortable than a burning thorn bush in the desert? And yet that's exactly where God is. Hagar is, although Hannah has her stories too. Hagar has been put out of her house. She and her child are homeless. They've been done terribly wrong. They're in the wilderness. She's afraid they're going to die. She puts her baby under a shade tree and just starts to cry because they're not going to make it. But when she looks up, the story says an angel called out her name. But when she looked up, when she broadened her perspective, she saw a well. There was a well in the wilderness. Yes, she's in the wilderness, but so are wells. So are shade trees. And they were saved, and they joined a group of Bedouins, and everything worked out after all. So you experience wilderness, but there are wells in the wilderness. There is God in the process. So in Deuteronomy, the writer says, traditionally Moses, it wasn't Moses. I don't know that there was a Moses. But anyway, the writer of the story says that like a mother eagle who agitates her nest and kicks the eaglets out to teach them to fly. And as they fall, that mother eagle swoops down and catches them on her wings. That is how God led the children of Israel through the wilderness. Like a mother eagle, stirring up her nest, teaching her young to fly. And as they fall, catching them on her pinions, on her feathers, on her wings. That was how God led the people through the wilderness. And when I think back of the times that I was floundering, failing, had some false starts, felt stuck, but almost always the people who helped lift me out of that and helped me learn how to move past that were women. My first New Thought teacher, she was already I think in her 70s. She lived to be 93, 94, and was in ministry almost till the day she died. She was a religious science minister, but also a Course in Miracles teacher, also a student of Urantia, also a numerologist, also a Reiki practitioner. I mean, she was everything. You could not put her in a box, but she was primarily religious science. And when I tested HIV positive, and I went to her because I kind of want her to heal me, but there's a bigger ego part of me that wants her to feel bad for me and just love on me and help me wallow in my misery and, validate my sadness. So I go to her and I say, test came back, here we are. And she immediately said, oh, honey, that's just information. I was stunned, almost offended, almost angry, like, information, it's for you information. For me, it's it's a situation.
Right.
But her wise and loving counsel probably saved my life. She didn't let me sink into fear and disaster thinking. She helped me go to peace instead of to pieces. And I have lived a healthy life with a diagnosis. And yet that diagnosis has not been devastating in my life. It has been information. She was absolutely right. And because I had the information, I could work with it and navigate it and do well. There are boats in the wilderness. There are eagles leading us, teaching us to fly over the wilderness. Divine science is everywhere. And it's been women mentors. And she was the first, but not nearly the last, of women mentors who helped me experience the maternal love of God that is present even in those uncertain times.
You know what came to mind when you were talking about the eagle was it's mentioned several times in the Bible. Jesus even drew upon it, where they talk about the love of God being like a mother hen who gathers her chickens, her babies, under her wings. And they do that. Whenever there's a storm, the birds will spread their wings and the babies will be underneath and they'll stay warm and dry until the storm passes. So
that's wonderful.
It is.
When my oldest son was diagnosed with cancer, late 1990s, I wrote my grandmother a letter about that. And she sent a letter back and said, we don't have to believe that, do we? And enclosed with the letter was a copy of someone that had written into Daily Word and experienced a healing. Now, I do want to tell you that in that moment in my life, I knew that she was absolutely right, but I wanted more. I wanted to hear nurturing words and I'm here with you, whatever you need. And she was going right to principle. And I appreciate that. Just in that moment for a bit.
Yeah.
It felt almost like being told, well, that's just information.
Right.
And yet as humans, we like to feel it like someone said, God with skin on it instead of the principle. So thank you, both of you. Thank you.
She had this, her name is Kay, Reverend Kay. She facilitated a lot of healing. She sort of had a healing ministry. She didn't name it that, but people just seemed to, like, in her presence, get it together and do well. She, there were these babies that were born, the twins, and one of them was not meant to make it. One was fine, the other one very sickly. And so they called her in basically to help them say goodbye, And she said, well, give me a minute with the baby. And she just whispered into the baby's ear, we love you and you are free to go or stay. Like, don't feel any pressure to stay. But if you want to stay, you will be loved and taken care of just as much as your sister. That we want you, and we'll bless you if you decide to go, and we're going to love you and take care of you if you decide to stay. And the doctors were quite amazed that at the quick turnaround that baby had. She didn't do a step-by-step treatment. She didn't call on the angels or the ancestors. She didn't read a passage of scripture. She just talked. to the child, like it had a consciousness, like it was a person. and just like she counseled me and others, she just counseled that infant, and it was quite amazing. She would have a midweek healing service. A handful of people would come. She'd have a big service on Sunday. A lot of people came, but the midweek, just a few. And one Sunday, a woman with cancer came, and when she came to her for prayer, her prayer very simply was, "I love you. I love you as you are. I love you completely. I love you with the love of God." And that was her whole prayer. And that woman it almost reminds me of Nona, "Give me light."
Yes.
That the woman, she didn't need an affirmation of her disease. She already had that from the doctor. She didn't need, she didn't need another treatment. She got that from her doctor. She needed to feel not alone. She needed to feel loved. She needed to know there was divine science everywhere.
Yes.
And that's what Reverend K gave her. So yeah, I keep talking to her. I say there's other women. There are but it's almost like a maternal, or she thought of herself as a grandma. I mean, she was already in her 70s. She wore wigs and makeup, and she was kind of heavy, and she just looked like the perfect grandma. She never would see that she didn't say she loved you. She hugged everybody, even strangers. And but that love, that light, that maternal power, it actually made a profound difference in people's lives. And even when people would make their transition, she could help take the sting out of it by saying, it's everywhere. So whatever the next experience is, it's in the light, it's in the love. You don't have to worry about that, at least. And I thought that was a very maternal approach. Men can do it. I mean, I hope I do it. Probably not as well as she did, but it's that feminine part of our nature. We all have feminine and masculine parts of our natures. Men sometimes aren't told about it, though, and so they avoid it or they don't know about it. But sometimes you need that maternal energy, no matter what body it's coming out of.
And sometimes the masculine aspect of ourselves is discouraged through women as well. So
Yeah,
it's all about balance.
it is that yin and yang situation. Reverend K, again, I had no intention of making my part of the show to be about Reverend K. She's with me, I guess. She had been Roman Catholic before she found religious science and the rest. And so she's actually the one who told me that she still crosses herself when she prays. Well, that's not very good thought, is it? I do too, by the way. But she said there's a metaphysical interpretation for everything.
Yeah.
And she said for her, it's a reminder that you need thinking and feeling to achieve balance. You need head and heart. So yeah, everything, depending on your consciousness, depending on your mindset, can be a reminder of divine science everywhere.
Yeah. And Nona said it several times. Fanny Brooks James, her sister, said it as well. And Melinda Kramer, the original founder of Divine Science in San Francisco, they all taught that divine science is based on the principle of the omnipresence of God. And one of the early teachers for Nona and her sisters was a lady by the name of Kate Bingham, Mrs. Frank Bingham. And she got this. She had gone to Chicago and was sat under Emma Curtis Hopkins for classes. And she came back to Denver and started teaching. And one of the things that she taught, which was, like I said, is a direct link to Emma Curtis Hopkins, was a statement of healing, which is, God is all there is, and I cannot be sick. But she also gave them this as well. She said, God is all, God is everywhere present, God is here. Whenever you see anything that looks less than perfect, repeat at once the statement of the omnipresence of God.
Yes.
Because we can't there's no place we can go where God's not already there. Because not only is God there, but God is here as each one of us. So, and that kind of reminds me of my mom as well, because I don't know how she did it. She knew everybody in our town. So I just couldn't get away with anything because somebody was calling her up and saying, "Oh, do you know what?" So, but that reminds me, and now that she's passed, her favorite flowers were blue pansies, and her favorite bird was bluebird.
Mhm.
And I never saw bluebirds while my mother was alive. After she passed, I was seeing them all over, and I still see them to this day. And I know that whenever I see a bluebird, that's her. You know, whenever we're driving by and I see flowers in somebody's yard, not many people cultivate pansies anymore, especially blue ones. But every once in a while, I'll catch a glimpse of somebody who has them, and it's all a reminder my mom is still there. So even though she's not in physical presence, like God, my mother's everywhere.
Right.
Because I see the
Right.
proof of it.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
Another Divine Science mom was Ann Kunath.
Mhm.
And not only did she birth a new school of New Thought, new school of Divine Science, the United Divine Science, and she called it United because people had forgotten about Melinda quite a bit, and then when she was discovered, people who learned about Nona, they almost felt like you had to pick sides or whatever, and so she wanted to unite the Nona people and the Melinda people and the new people, and remind us that Holmes started out in divine science, and it's so united. We're all it's all good. So, and she used to tell a story at conferences, INTA, divine science conferences, about her daughter, who I know she's still alive. I believe her name is Cindy or Cynthia. But when she was little, she had a terrible night. Like she was not expected to make it through the night. And Anne, who I believe had been in Unity, a student really of Catherine Ponder, she just couldn't accept that. Of course, when things happen, you have to deal with what does happen. But before it happens, it is reasonable to believe you can have some influence along the way. And she wasn't going to give up. And so she stayed up all night rocking her baby, and all night long, just creative denials and positive affirmations, all night long. And the baby did make it through the night and obviously did get well and is alive today. And that was a mother's love in practice. Now, if it had worked out a different way, it'd still be love, still be powerful. That'd just be a different form of healing. But that story is, again, not only about maternal divine love, but in expression in an honest, literal mother-daughter experience.
Yes.
I always thought it was a beautiful story. And she was a strong woman. So I never thought of her as like being super tender or whatever, but just to hear her tell that story. And she would like even do the motion of when she was rocking her baby. You had to tear up a little bit, and it was powerful. Hey, Jeff.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I understand that. That mothering nature is within us. I mean, who doesn't pick up a baby and start rocking or put it on your hip and start, just adjust without even thinking about it? It's just, it's there. It's there, that desire to nurture.
Right. Now, you're a doula, but an end-of-life doula.
Yes.
And your ministry is also, apart from that, is even with people who are facing the end of life. And so like doulas and midwives, helping people enter into this world, you actually help people enter into what's next.
Yes.
Which is a very motherly and midwifey kind of thing to do. But people often don't think of it that way on that end of things.
That's right. That's right. And it all comes down to nurturing and acceptance and loving. Yes. Yes, Jeff.
What's interesting is that people hear of the word doula and they immediately think of birth doulas.
That's right.
And I'm an end-of-life doula as well. And actually the word doula means helper, helper. So whether you are a birth doula helping someone into the world or an end-of-life doula helping someone out of the world, we're helping. And that's part of the mother's heart. And like was alluded to earlier, men can have the feminine energy flow through them. Women can have the masculine energy flow through them. It's that balance in between the two.
Yes.
But yeah.
Yes.
And people respond to energy. Robert and I have a kid, and I mean, he's in his 20s now. He's in the university in London. But still to this day, the dynamics remain the same. And he actually articulated it one time, but we could tell the whole time he treats me like a mom, like you would see people treat moms, and he treats Robert like you would see people treat dads. We don't, we never established roles. We don't believe in duality. We don't think things are fixed. We're non-binary in our thinking or whatever. And yet, I have more of a certain kind of energy. Robert has more of a certain kind of energy, and our kid responded to those energies. He liked it. He thought it was great that he had the balance. But he was, and he played the balance. He still does, like kids do. He would tell when he would have dates or whatever, and they would be trying to be naughty or whatever. He would say, "Don't say that around Robert." He said, "That's the difficult dad." You can say it around Durrell, but not around Robert. He's the difficult dad, which means he's sterner and whatever, more rule enforcing. But no, the energy is there, right. And people pick up on it. They respond to it. But you know what? We got so much more to say. But Jeff, isn't it time for a break?
It is time for a break, and we will come back and talk more about divine science, the mother aspect of life. You'll find it all here on Divine Science Everywhere on New Thought Media Network.
New Thought Media Network is proud to present New Thought's Roots and Branches with Reverend Dr. Ruth Miller. Join us every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Mountain Time. Tune in live or watch anytime on our YouTube channel. Discover the rich history of New Thought and its impact on modern spirituality. Join Reverend Dr. Ruth Miller as she shares insights, stories, and teachings that inspire and uplift. Experience deep insights and transformative teachings that connect you to the roots of New Thought. Visit our YouTube channel to catch up on past episodes and join us live every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Connect with us and be part of the journey.
New Thought Media Network is excited to present Divine Science Everywhere, Fridays at 2 p.m. Mountain Time and 4 p.m. Eastern. Come explore a modern experience of divine science. With Rev Joy Fletcher, Rev Jeff Radcliff, and Bishop Durrell Watkins. Join us as we open our eyes to divine science everywhere we look. Fridays on New Thought Media Network.
Welcome back to Divine Science Everywhere. So, as we continue our discussion, yes, Bishop Durrell?
No, yeah, just let's talk about these mothers some more.
Yes. So, how would you like to talk about other maternal influences in your life, Reverend Jeff?
Other maternal influences. I've had a couple. My mom's mom, my grandmother, and her mother, my great-grandmother, were both those figures for me. My great-grandmother, I would spend summers sometimes with her, not every summer, but frequent summers with her, and got to learn a lot of the family history from her, particularly my great-grandfather, who passed away when I was only 2 months old, something like that. She said that he wanted to see me, and he, as sick as he was, she said he held out until he could hold you in his arms. And so she taught me about him and what life was like with him before I showed up. And then my grandmother, she and I had a special relationship, and I only found this out she passed back in 2011, and I think it was only last year. Her best friend is still living, and she said, "I have something to tell you about your grandmother, but you're not allowed to tell your brother and your sister." And I'm like, "Okay." And she goes, "You know how parents don't? They say they don't have a favorite child." She said, "Well, grandparents are given a special dispensation that they can have a favorite grandchild." And she said, "Would you like to know who your grandmother's favorite grandchild was?" And I thought she was going to pull a fast one on me and say my sister or my brother. No, it was me. And that was pretty cool because my grandma and I, we go to church together on Sunday mornings. We go to Bible study on Wednesday evenings. And then when I started branching out and learning about other religious traditions and other philosophies, I bring them back to her and we talk about them and we throw out ideas, and she would give clarity to some of the things that I might be fuzzy on. And I apparently did the same for her. So these were the two other women in my life who especially stand out for me as being maternal influences.
Wonderful, wonderful. And how about you, Bishop? Bishop?
Okay, I got a list. I got a quick list. This is gonna be like trying to get a drink of water from a fire hose, but I'm gonna try to keep it a little bit contained. First of all, my mother and I were close as I was her first, and my mother has two great kids and another kid, and so we she has three sons, and we but I was the first, and we just had a special bond until I came out. And then we had a very difficult relationship for a long, long time. And then when my grandmother died, who was my reason to live, oh my God, I was so close to a grandma. We sort of made peace, and it became okay, but just okay. But in her, now that she's elderly, we've gotten really super close again. Part of that is maybe regret. Part of that is, we still got a minute left. Let's try to, make it good. Or part of it maybe need, I'm present to her. So whatever. I don't know. Maybe all of that. But it's been nice to get close again. It's been nice to not even be looking for a surrogate mom. Like I said, like my grandmother really was sort of my mom to me. Because her love was unconditional, and she was very demonstrative. Even my other grandmother, who was kind of a rough old hillbilly lady, but she was always very demonstrative with me. I don't know how I got the dispensation, the extra grace. But so my grandmothers, I had some great aunts, the same way that they didn't have kids, so nieces and nephews were super special to them, and I was chief among them. So the women in my life have just been so formative, and even throughout life. I mean, I was approaching middle age when I met Cindy Lippert, a divine science minister, and she even said to me more than once that, and she's got children, but she said to me more than once. She said, "I couldn't love you more if you were my own son."
Oh.
Well, I know she said that to everyone she ever met, but if she did, she meant it. I mean, because she had a lot of love to give. And so these, and I told you about Reverend Kay, and so these maternal figures. My mother-in-law loved my husband. She had 10 kids. No, wait, 13 kids, and not all of them made. There's been a lot, but she, Robert was her baby, and it was just so beautiful to see when they were together. Her just being, and him just sort of dote on her, and I knew that I was okay. I was welcome when the first time we'd spent a bit of time together, when she was sort of handing me and making me fetch things and telling me, I want you to go get this for me, or she handed me her cane, or she wanted me to help her into the car. I'm like, and Robert said, "Oh, you're not getting better than that. That is the stamp of approval," and that was very important to me. So yeah, the mother's love thing. And I see that now because of my experience. I see that so much in scripture. And I think it's one of the reasons I love Divine Science so much. Founded by women, led by song by women, and even still,
Yes.
women are so present and influential in the movement. But in the Bible, I turn first page, in the beginning, and there's this wind that's blowing over the waters of chaos that brings chaos. Well, that wind, the Hebrew word is ruach, and it's feminine. That Mother Spirit is bringing creation out of chaos. The ruach. One of the names for God is Elohim, and Elohim is both masculine and feminine and plural. It's almost like mommy and daddy God, mother and father God. That's Elohim. Another name for God in the Bible is El Shaddai. Now, it literally means God of the mountains, but it's also from a culture where mountains could be used euphemistically for breast. And so this it could be God of the mountains, or it could as legitimately be the big-breasted God. So this mothering figure. And that would sort of also be over against Artemis, who was a god with many breasts. And so all of this is just right there in the Bible. The Shekinah of God, the glory of God, feminine. The only time God's genitalia is ever mentioned specifically, now there are body parts for God in certain the way some people saw God, but usually it's God's footprints or something. But in the book of Job, it is God's womb that produces the ice storms in the world. That it's God's womb that the frost and the ice come from. Womb, hello. Do I need to draw you a picture? And that is particularly in biblical language, a reproductive image, a mothering image. And so, over and over, this just pops up. One time, one of the prophets is arguing with God and says, hey, did I give birth to these kids? Because God's wanting them to do something. And the resistance is, hey, implying, no, you did. It's not me. I think it's the prophet Hosea that talks about God bending down to feed the children, like a mother bends down to pick up a kid to breastfeed. So I see this over and over and over, but through the lens of my own experience, because readers make meaning. And so because I've experienced the divine in women and as women, I see it everywhere I look.
Wonderful, wonderful. The feminine influence has been very strong in my life too, with both of my grandmothers and my great grandmother, and at times through my own mother. She was probably one of my greatest teachers, because we didn't always communicate. And I understood her more as I aged in wisdom and discovered more about myself. And so I appreciated more things about her. And also in the New Thought movement, women certainly have been the greatest influence for me. Not only appreciating the founders and the early teachers, but also teachers in this lifetime. The majority of them have been feminine, ministers. So I want to share a quick story. One time I officiated a wedding in the thumb of Michigan, which is pretty rural. And then we were waiting around for the reception to start, and I noticed a bunch of girls were playing, and they were reenacting the wedding, and they were picking one of them to be the minister to officiate. And I got the message that because they were in this area, I was an unusual representation of what a minister looked like. So that was fun. That was
yes. See, that's the ministry of presence.
Yes.
Just showing up can make a difference.
Yes.
Guess what?
Yes.
We're out of time.
I know.
What?
We just have so much fun. The hour flies.
Yeah. Well, we can pick it up next month for Father's Day. We can we can flip it and have another good time with that one.
Different approach to the divine science that's everywhere.
Well, Reverend Joy, I guess you got to wrap us up.
I will. We have some exciting shows coming up. Robert Brzezinski, Dr. Robert Brzezinski, is going to be one of our guests, the founder of New Thought Media Network, as well as Reverend Tanya Kosuma. She is a third generation divine science minister. And Reverend Martha Creek will be one of our guests. And Reverend Dr. Christine Emmerling, who is also generational divine science, and her daughter, Reverend Cherie Garrett. So we're really excited about all the things that we have to bring forward to share with you. So until next time, thank you. And remember, divine science means God in all, through all,
as all.
And until next time, we are Divine Science Everywhere on New Thought Media Network.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
New Thought Media Network is excited to present Divine Science Everywhere, Fridays at 2 p.m. Mountain Time and 4 p.m. Eastern. Come explore a modern experience of divine science. With Reverend Joy Fletcher, Reverend Jeff Radcliff, and Bishop Durrell Watkins. Join us as we open our eyes to divine science everywhere we look. Fridays on New Thought Media Network.